Well, hello there, everyone. How's it going? Welcome back to the first stream of my return stream. How y'all doing today? Doing good, I hope. Also, Morp, how dare you? 8 months of being pictured. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But yeah. So, with the news schedule. Well, evening is going well. How about yours? That's going pretty good. I'm wondering if there's another delay. I hope not. Because we had a pretty bad delay last Saturday. So, how about this? I'll say a number and then you tell me. Oh, it's your phone? Okay, fair, fair. Alright, we'll just do the test anyway. I'll say the number, you type it in chat. 4. Okay, no delay. Cool. I was gonna say if I was getting that bad of a delay, I was gonna be very angry with my internet provider. But thankfully that's not the case. But anywho, to start off with the new schedule of, I don't know why my brain was like, we're gonna call it Massaging Mondays. Because we're gonna massage you into your work week. With some comfy stream reads. Ear Gravy Mondays? Oh, God. I mean, if it's ear gravy, dig in. More. Choozle, I love those emotes. But yeah, no, we're gonna jump into book 10 and go from there. I'm guessing we'll get through 10 and 11 and maybe 12, depending on how my throat's feeling, since, I haven't done a long read in a while. Oh my goodness. No, you see that thing you're doing? Elm, I'm gonna need you to cease. Oh my goodness. Holy crap, how many are you gonna do, Elm? Elm is being a spender, yes. Elm is being a big spender here. And out of points. How dare you? Well, maybe I will. Oh, look, it's an elm, or should I say cutie elm? You're absolutely right, Hunter. It is indeed a cutie elm. Hunter, you're not supposed to follow in their footsteps. That is illegal. You were the chosen one, Hunter. Actually, oh no, I don't have it yet. Was it? Oh, wait. I think no. Right. I have another emote, but I'm like, I don't know how to. Which emote should get what? But well. As far as like, which one should be bits, which one should be, tier 2 and 3. I was the chosen one. I thought I was the local pyrotechnic. I mean, I chose you to not do that thing you just did. But thank you for the hydrates and the big stretch. Yeah. Pyros should do the opposite of throwing water around. Exactly, Morp, exactly. It's quite counterintuitive, being a pyrotechnic with that much water. It's goes against your very nature, I figured. Maybe you're a hydrotechnic. I don't even know if that's a real word. But if not, it is now. But anywho, without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and start Book 10 of the Odyssey. More. And if anyone would like to read along, there's a link to where I'll be reading from. Or just throw me on in the background for some, as Mort put it, delicious ear gravy. I may have added a word in there, but that's okay. Anyway, I'll leave for 1 second, how dare. But yes, Book 10. Thence we went on to the Aeolian island, where lives Aeolus, son of Hippolytus, dear to the immortal gods. It is an island that floats, as it were, upon the sea, iron-bound with a wall that girds it. Now Aeolus has 6 daughters and 6 lusty sons, so he made the sons marry the daughters, and they all live with their dear father and mother, feasting and enjoying every conceivable kind of luxury. Wow, starting off strong. All day long, the atmosphere of the house is loaded with the savor of roasting meats till it groans again, yard and all. But by night they sleep on their well-made bedsteads, each with his own wife between the blankets. These were the people among whom we had now come. Aeolus entertained me for a whole month, asking me questions all the time about Troy, the Argive fleet, and the return of the Achaeans. I told him exactly how everything had happened, and when I said I must go, and asked him to further me on my way, he made no sort of difficulty, but set about doing so at once. Moreover, he flayed me a prime oxhide to hold the waves of the roaring winds, which he shut up in the hide as in a sack, for Jove had made him captain over the winds, and he could stir or still each one of them according to his own pleasure. He put the sack in the ship and bound the mouth so tightly with a silver thread that not even a breath of a side wind could blow from any quarter. The west wind, and which was fair for us, did he alone let blow as it chose. But it all came to nothing, for we were lost through our own folly. Thank you for the hydrate, Delic. "9 days and 9 nights did we sail, and on the 10th day our native land showed on the horizon. We got so close in that we could see the stubble fires burning, and I, being the deadbeat, fell into a light sleep, for I had never let the rudder out of my own hands, that we might get home the faster. On this the men fell to talking among themselves, and said I was bringing back gold and silver in the sack that Illis had given me. Bless my heart, one would turn to his neighbor, saying, how this man gets honored and makes friends to whatever city or country he may go. See what fine prizes he is taking home from Troy, while we, who have traveled just as far as he has, come back with hands as empty as we set out with, and now Illis has given him ever so much more. Quick, let us see what it all is, and how much gold and silver there is in the sack he gave him." Oh, thank you, Delic. And hi, Pix. Welcome in. We're reading up Book 10 right now of the Odyssey. Oh, hold up, there's a yawn coming. Okay. I don't know, I just get really relaxed with doing this stuff, and my body's just like, you're gonna yawn a lot. But anyway, back to the book. Thus they talked, and evil counsels prevailed. They loosed the sack, whereupon the wind flew howling forth, and raised a storm that carried us weeping out to sea, and away from our own country. Then I awoke, and knew not whether to throw myself into the sea, or to live on and make the best of it. But I bore it, covered myself up, and lay down in the ship, while the men lamented bitterly as the fierce winds bore our fleet back to the Aeolian island. Good point. Oh, now they're up there twice? Okay, that's weird. Yeah, I already did sound alerts. But regular alerts. Can we change the property? No, I can't change the properties. Oh well. I'll just completely hide it then. Hello, Masonic, and thank you for the Richards. When we reached it, we went ashore to take in water, and dined hard by the ships. Immediately after dinner, I took a herald and one of my men and went straight to the house of Illis, where I found him feasting with his wife and family. So we sat down as suppliants on the threshold. They were astounded when they saw us and said, "Ulysses, what brings you here? What god has been ill-treating you? We took great pains to further you on your way home to Ithaca, or wherever it is that you wanted to go to." Thus did they speak, but I answered sorrowfully, "My men have undone me. They and cruel sleep have ruined me. My friends, mend me this mischief for you if you can, or if you will." Oh, and no worries, Knight. Hopefully you feel better. I spoke as movingly as I could, But they said nothing till their fathers answered. Sorry, another yawn. All right. Vilest of mankind, get you gone at once out of the island. Him whom heaven hates will I in no wise help. Be off, for you come here as one abhorred of heaven. And with these words he sent me sorrowing from his door. Thence we sailed sadly on till the men were worn out with long and fruitless rowing, for there was no longer any wind to help them. 6 days, night and day, did we toil, and on the 7th day we reached the rocky stronghold of Lammas, Telepilis, the city of the Lastrygonians, where the shepherd who is arriving in his sheep and goats to be milked salutes him who is driving out his flock to feed, and this last answers the salute. In that country a man who could do without sleep might earn double wages, one as a herdsman of cattle, and another as a shepherd, for they work much the same by night as they do by day. When we reached the harbor, we found it landlocked under steep cliffs, with a narrow entrance between two headlands. My captains took all their ships inside and made them fast close to one another, for there was never so much as a breath of wind inside, but it was always dead calm. I kept my own ship outside and moored it to a rock at the very end of the point. Then I climbed a high rock to reconnoitre? Interesting word. But could see no sign, neither of man nor cattle, only some smoke rising from the ground. So I sent 2 of my company with an attendant to find out what sort of people the inhabitants were. The men, when they got on shore, followed a level road by which the people draw their firewood from the mountains into the town, till presently they met a young woman who had come outside to fetch water, and who was the daughter of a Lastrygonian named Antiphates. She was going to the fountain Artacia, from which the people bring in their water, and when my men had come close up to her, they asked her who the king of that country might be, and over what kind of people he ruled. So she directed them to her father's house, but when they got there they found his wife to be a giantess as huge as a mountain, and they were horrified at the sight of her. She at once called her husband Antiphates from the place of assembly, and forthwith he set about killing my men. He snatched up one of them and began to make his dinner off him then and there, whereon the other 2 ran back to the ships as fast as ever they could. But Antiphates raised a hue and cry after them, and thousands of sturdy Lastrygonians sprang up from every quarter, ogres, not men. They threw vast rocks at us from the cliffs as though they had been mere stones, and I heard the horrid sounds of the ships crunching up against one another, and the death cries of my men, and the Lastrygonians speared them like fishes and took them home to eat them. While they were thus killing my men within the harbor, I drew my sword, cut the cable of my own ship, and told my men to row with all their might if they too would not fare like the rest. So they laid out for their lives, and we were thankful enough when we got out into open water, out of reach of the rocks they hurled at us. As for the others, there was not one of them left. Thence we sailed sadly on, glad to have escaped death, though we had lost our comrades, and came to the Aeaean island, where Circe lives, a great and cunning goddess, who is own sister to the magician Aeetes, for they are both children of the sun by Perse, who is daughter of Oceanus. We brought our ship into safe harbor without a word, for some god guided us thither, and having landed we lay there for 2 days and 2 nights, worn out in body and mind. When the morning of the 3rd day came, I took my spear and my sword, and went away from the ship to reconnoiter, and see if I could discover signs of human handiwork, or hear the sound of voices. Climbing to the top of a high lookout, I espied the smoke of Circe's house, rising upwards amid a dense forest of trees. And when I saw this, I doubted whether, having seen the smoke, I would not go on at once and find out more. But in the end, I deemed it best to go back to the ship, give the men their dinners, and send some of them instead of going myself. When I had nearly got back to the ship, some god took pity upon my solitude, and sent a fine antlered stag right into the middle of my path. He was coming down his pasture in the forest to drink of the river, for the heat of the sun drove him, and as he passed I struck him in the middle of the back. The bronze point of the spear went clean through him, and he lay groaning in dust until the life went out of him. Then I set my foot upon him, drew my spear from the wound, and laid it down. I also gathered rough grass and rushes and twisted them into a fathom or so of good stout rope, with which I bound the 4 feet of the noble creature together. Having done so, I hung him around my neck and walked back to the ship, leaning upon my spear. For the stag was much too big for me to be able to carry him on my shoulder, steadying him with one hand. As I threw him down in the front of the ship, I called the men and spoke cheeringly, man by man, to each of them. "Look here, my friends," said I. "We are not going to die so much before our time after all, and at any rate we will not starve so long as we have got something to eat and drink on board." On this they uncovered their heads upon the seashore and admired the stag, for he was indeed a splendid fellow. Then, when they had feasted their eyes upon him sufficiently, they washed their hands and began to cook him for dinner. Thus through the livelong day to the going down of the sun, we stayed there, eating and drinking our fill. But when the sun went down and it came on dark, we camped upon the seashore. When the child of morning, rosy-fingered dawn, appeared, I called a council and said, "My friends, we are in very great difficulties. Listen therefore to me. We have no idea where the sun either sets or rises, so that we do not even know east from west. I see no way out of it, nevertheless. We must try and find one." I'm gonna need a drink. Hold up. We are certainly on an island, for I went as high as I could this morning and saw the sea reaching all around it, to the horizon. It lies low, but towards the middle I saw smoke rising from out of a thick forest of trees. Their hearts sank as they heard me, for they remembered how they had been treated by the Lastrygonian Antiphates, and by the savage ogre Polyphemus. They wept bitterly in their dismay, but there was nothing to be got by crying. So I divided them into 2 companies and set a captain over each. I gave one company to Eurylochus, while I took command of the other myself. Then we cast lots in a helmet, and the lot fell upon Eurylochus. So he set out with his 22 men, and they wept, as also did we who were left behind. When they reached Circe's house, they found it built of cut stones, on a site that could be seen from far, in the middle of the forest. There were wild mountain wolves and lions prowling all around it. Poor bewitched creatures whom she had tamed by her enchantments and drugged into subjection. They did not attack my men, but wagged their great tails, fawned upon them, and rubbed their noses lovingly against them. As hounds crowd around their master when they see him coming from dinner, for they know he will bring them something, even so did these wolves and lions with their great claws fawn upon my men. But the men were terribly frightened at seeing such strange creatures. Presently they reached the gates of a goddess's house, and as they stood there they could hear Circe within. Oh, thank you for the stretch. Big stretch. And some water. Thank you, thank you. Let's see, where did I go? Presently they reached the gates of the goddess's house, and as they stood there they could not hear Circe within, singing most beautifully as she worked at her loom, making a web so fine, so soft, and of such dazzling colors as no one but a goddess could weave. On this Polides, whom I valued and trusted more than any other of my men, said, "There is someone inside working at a loom, and singing most beautifully. The whole place resounds with it. Let us call her and see whether she is woman or goddess." They called her, and she came down, unfastened the door, and bade them enter. They, thinking no evil, followed her, all except Eurylochus, who suspected mischief and stayed outside. When she had got them into her house, she set them upon benches and seats and mixed them a mess with cheese, honey, meal, and Promnian wine. But she drugged it with wicked poisons to make them forget their homes. And when they had drunk, she turned them into pigs by a stroke of her wand, and shut them up in her pigsties. They were like pigs, head, hair, and all, and they grunted just as pigs do. But their senses were the same as before, and they remembered everything. Thus were they shut up, squealing, and Circe threw them some acorns and beech mast such as pigs eat. But Eurylochus hurried back to tell me about the sad fate of our comrades. He was so overcome with dismay that though he tried to speak, he could find no words to do so. His eyes filled with tears, and he could only sob and sigh, till at last we forced his story out of him, and he told us what had happened to the others. "We went," said he, "as you told us, through the forest, and in the middle of it there was a fine house, built with cut stones in a place that could be seen from afar. There we found a woman, or else she was a goddess, working at her loom and singing sweetly. So the men shouted to her and called her, whereon she at once came down, opened the door, and invited us in. The others did not suspect any mischief, so they followed her into the house. But I stayed where I was, for I thought that there might be some treachery. From that moment I saw them no more, for not one of them ever came out, though I sat a long time watching for them. Then I took my sword of bronze and slung it over my shoulders. I also took my bow and told Eurylochus to come back with me and shew me the way. But he laid hold of me with both his hands and spoke piteously, saying, 'Sir, do not force me to go with you, but let me stay here, for I know you will not bring one of them back with you, nor even return alive yourself. Let us rather see if we cannot escape this, at any rate, with the few that are left, us, for we may still save our lives. Stay where you are, then, I answered, eating and drinking at the ship. But I must go, for I am most urgently bound to do so. With this, I left the ship and went up inland. When I got through the charmed grove and was near the great house of the enchantress Circe, I met Mercury with his golden wand, disguised as a young man in the heyday of his youth, and beauty with the down just coming upon his face. He came up to me and took my hand within his own, saying, "My poor unhappy man, whither are you going over this mountain-top, alone and without knowing the way? Your men are shut up in Circe's pigsties, like so many wild boars in their lairs. You surely do not fancy that you can set them free. I can tell you that you will never get back and will have to stay there with the rest of them. But never mind. I will protect you and get you out of your difficulty. Take this herb, which is one of great virtue, and keep it about you when you go to Circe's house. It will be a talisman to you against every kind of mischief. And I will tell you of all the wicked witchcraft that Circe will try to practice upon you." She will mix a mess for you to drink, and she will drug the meal with whom she makes it. But she will not be able to charm you, for the virtue of the herb that I shall give you will prevent her spells from working. I will tell you all about it. When Circe strikes you with her wand, draw your sword and spring upon her as though you were going to kill her. She will be frightened and will desire you to go to bed with her. On this you must not point-blank refuse her, for you want her to set your companions free, and to take good care also of yourself. But you must make her swear solemnly, by all the blessed gods, that she will plot no further mischief against you, or else when she has got you naked she will unman you and make you fit for nothing. As he spoke, he pulled the herb out of the ground and shewed me what it was like. The root was black, while the flower was as white as milk. The gods call it Molly, and mortal men cannot uproot it, but the gods can do whatever they like. Then Mercury went back to high Olympus, passing over the wooded island. But I fared onward to the house of Circe, and my heart was clouded with care as I walked along. When I got to the gates, I stood there and called the goddess, and as soon as she heard me, she came down, opened the door, and asked me to come in. So I followed her, much troubled in my mind. She sat me on a richly decorated seat inlaid with silver. There was a footstool also under my feet, and she mixed a mess in a golden goblet for me to drink. Sorry, a little gassy. But she drugged it, for she meant me mischief. When she had given it to me, and I had drunk it without its charming me, she struck me with her wand. "There now," she cried, "be off to the pigsty and make your lair with the rest of them." But I rushed at her with my sword drawn, as though I would kill her, whereon she fell with a loud scream, clasped my knees, and spoke piteously, saying, "Who and whence are you? From what place and people have you come? How can it be that my drugs have no power to charm you? Never yet is any man able to stand so much as a taste of the herb I gave you. You must be spell-proof. Surely you can be none other than the bold hero Ulysses, who Mercury always said would come here some day with this ship, while on his way home from Troy. So be it then. Sheathe your sword and let us go to bed, that we may make friends and learn to trust each other." And I answered, Circe, how can you expect me to be friendly with you when you have just been turning all my men into pigs? Oh, Avali Varu. Hello, everyone. Welcome in, Raiders. Let me give you a little shouty outy. There we go. But hey, how are you all doing? What were you up to, Valivaru? I'm Illis, I'm a lich, and welcome to my study. Currently, we are reading the Odyssey, starting with books 10 and going from there. I'm not sure. This is the first stream after my return to streaming event on Saturday, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this because my throat's already starting to bleh. But yeah, hello there. They were playing Stray, and then a bit of mini net Metro. Right on, right on. Well, feel free to hang out, everybody. Enjoy some audiobook experience if you like, and if not, have a pleasant rest of your day. And thanks for bringing your community over, Varo. And thank you for this suggesting me, Delic. Yeah. Let's see, where did I end up? Actually, let me get a drink of water quick. Let's see. And now that you have got me here myself, you mean me mischief when you ask me to go to bed with you, and will unman me and make me fit for nothing. I shall certainly not consent to go to bed with you unless you will first take your solemn oath to plot no further harm against me. How dare you, Marp? Time for the big stretch. Yeah. And the hydrates. Oh my. Ah yes, and Raiders, if you're still around, this is normal. It's everyone likes to drown the local lich. Drown. Savor it while you can, Elm. It'll be your turn again soon enough. Anyway, where was I? Let's see. So she swore at once as I had told her, and when she had completed her oath, then I went to bed with her. Meanwhile, her 4 servants, who are her housemaids, set about their work. Will not agree to bed with you. Fair, fair. Let's see. They are the children of the groves and fountains, and of the holy waters that run down into the sea. One of them spread a fair purple cloth over a seat, and laid a carpet underneath it. Another brought tables of silver up to the seats, and set them with baskets of gold. A third one mixed some sweet wine with water in a silver bowl, and put golden cups up on the tables, while the fourth brought in water and set it to boil in a large cauldron over a good fire which he had lighted. Oh, yawn coming. Okay. Oh, I got you, Delic. I got you. Let's see. She had lighted. Okay. When the water in the cauldron was boiling, she poured cold into it till it was just as I liked it. And then she set me in a bath and began washing me from the cauldron about the head and shoulders, to take the tire and stiffness out of my limbs. As soon as she had done washing me and anointing me with oil, she arrayed me in a good cloak and shirt, and led me to a richly decorated seat inlaid with silver. There was a footstool also under my feet. A maidservant then brought me water in a beautiful golden ewer, and poured it into a silver basin for me to wash my hands, and she drew a clean table beside me. An upper servant brought me bread and offered me many things of what there was in the house. And then Circe bade me eat, but I would not, and sat without heeding what was before me, still moody and suspicious. When Circe saw me sitting there without eating, and in great grief she came to me and said, "Ulysses, why do you sit like that as though you were dumb, gnawing at your own heart, and refusing both meat and drink?" "Is it that you are still suspicious? You ought not to be, for I have already sworn solemnly that I will not hurt you." And I said, "Circe, no man with any sense of what is right can think of either eating or drinking in your house until you have set his friends free and let him see them. If you want me to eat and drink, you must free my men and bring them to me, that I may see them with my own eyes." When I had said this, she went straight through the court with her wand in her hand, and opened the pigsty doors. My men came out like so many prime hogs and stood looking at her, but she went about among them and anointed each with a second drug, whereon the bristles that the bad drug had given them fell off, and they became men again, younger than they were before, and much taller and better looking. They knew me at once, seized me each of them by the hand, and wept for joy till the whole house was filled with the sound of their hullabalooing. And Circe herself was so sorry for them that she came up to me and said, "Ulysses, noble son of Laertus, go back at once to the sea where you have left your ship, and first draw it on to the land. Then hide all your ship's gear and property in some cave, and come back here with your men." I agreed to this, so I went back to the seashore, and found the men at the ship weeping and wailing most piteously. When they saw me, the silly blubbering fellows began frisking round me as calves break out and gambol round their mothers, when they see them coming home to be milked after they have been feeding all day, and the homestead resounds with their lowing? That's an interesting word. They seemed as glad to see me as though they had got back to their own rugged Ithaca, where they had been born and bred. "Sir," said the affectionate creatures, "we are as glad to see you back as though we had got safe home to Ithaca. But tell us all about the fate of our comrades." I spoke comfortingly to them and said, "We must draw our ship onto the land, and hide the ship's gear with all our property in some cave. Then come with me, all of you, as fast as you can to Circe's house, where you will find your comrades eating and drinking in the midst of great abundance." Oh no, another yawn. Hold up. Yeah, no sound alerts on reading days. On this, the men would have come with me at once, but Eurylochus tried to hold them back and said, "Alas, poor wretches that we are, what will become of us? Rush not on your ruin by going to the house of Circe, who will turn us all into pigs or wolves or lions, and we shall have to keep guard over her house. Remember how the Cyclops treated us when our comrades went inside his cave and Ulysses with them? It was all through his sheer folly that those men lost their lives." When I heard him, I was in two minds whether or not to draw the keen blade that's hung by my sturdy thigh and cut his head off in spite of his being a near relation of my own. But the men interceded for him and said, "Sir, if it may so be, let this fellow stay here and mind the ship, but take the rest of us with you to Circe's house." On this we all went inland, and Eurylochus was not left behind after all, but came on too, for he was frightened by the severe reprimand that I had given him. Meanwhile, Circe had been seeing that the men who had been left behind were washed and anointed with olive oil. She had also given them woolen cloaks and shirts, and when we came, we found them all comfortably at dinner in her house. As soon as the men saw each other face to face and knew one another, they wept for joy and cried aloud till the whole palace rang again. Thereon Circe came up to me and said, "Ulysses, noble son of Laertus, tell your men to leave off crying. I know how much you have all of you suffered at sea, and how ill you have fared among cruel savages on the mainland. But that is over now. So stay here and eat and drink till you are once more as strong and hearty as you were when you left Ithaca. For at present you are weakened both in body and mind. You keep all the time thinking of the hardships you have suffered during your travels, so that you have no more cheerfulness left in you." Thus did she speak, and we assented. We stayed with Circe for a whole 12-month, feasting upon an untold quantity both of meat and wine. But when the year had passed in the waning of moons, and the long days had come round, my men called me apart and said, "Sir, it is time you began to think about going home, if so be you are to be spared to see your house and native country at all." Thus did they speak, and I assented. Thereon, through the livelong day, to the going down of the sun, we feasted our fill on meat and wine. But when the sun went down and it came on dark, the men laid themselves down to sleep in the covered cloisters. I, however, after I had got into the bed with Circe, besought her by her knees, and the goddess listened to what I had got to say. "Circe," said I, "please to keep the promise you made me about furthering me on my homeward voyage. I want to get back, and so do my men. They are always pestering me with their complaints as soon as ever your back is turned." And the goddess answered, "Ulysses, noble son of Laertus, you shall none of you stay here any longer if you do not want to. But there is another journey which you have got to take before you can sail homewards. You must go to the house of Hades and of dread Proserpine to consult the ghost of the blind Theban prophet Tiresias, whose reason is still unshaken. To him alone has Proserpine left his understanding even in death, but the other ghosts flit about aimlessly. I was dismayed when I heard this. I sat up in bed and wept, and would gladly have lived no longer to see the light of the sun. But presently, when I was tired of weeping and tossing myself about, I said, "And who shall guide me upon this voyage? For the house of Hades is a port that no ship can reach." "You will want no guide," she answered. "Raise your mast, set your white sails, sit quite still, and the north wind will blow you there of itself. When your ship has traversed the waters of Oceanus, you will reach the fertile shore of Proserpine's country with its groves of tall poplars and willows that shed their fruit untimely. Here beach your ship upon the shore of Oceanus, and go straight on to the dark abode of Hades. You will find it near the place where the rivers Periphlagathon and Cochitus, which is a branch of the river Styx, flow into Acheron, and you will see a rock near it, just where the two roaring rivers run into one another. When you have reached this spot, as I now tell you, dig a trench a cubit or so in length, breadth, and depth, and pour into it as a drink offering to all the dead, first honey mixed with milk, then wine, and in the third place water, sprinkling white barley meal over the whole. Moreover, you must offer many prayers to the poor feeble ghosts, and promise them that when you get back to Ithaca, you will sacrifice a barren heifer to them, the best you have, and will load the pyre with good things. More particularly, you must promise that Tiresias shall have a black sheep all to himself, the finest in all your flocks." Thank you, Mai, for the switch. Yeah. Okay. And dehydrate. A cubit is an ancient measure of length, approximately equal to the length of a forearm. It was typically about 18 inches or 44 centimeters, though there was a long cubit of about 21 inches or 52 centimeters. Oh. The more you know. Well, hello, Myth. Welcome in, everybody. So this is a reading stream, so it's a little quiet, but let me go ahead and get you. Alright, with VT. Oh, never mind, I already got him. Thank you, Mark. Yes. Hello, Raiders. Welcome in, everyone. How was your stream, Myth? What were you doing? And to all the new raiders who've never been here before and don't know me, I am Illis. I am a comfy chaos lich who recently got back into streaming. And this is... Mondays are now reading streams. And today I'm reading the Odyssey. We're most of the way through book 10 right now. But yes, welcome in, welcome in. And thank you for the hydrates. Aw, thank you, Myth. It's good to see you too. And yeah, it's I miss streaming. But yeah. Hello, everyone. Feel free. This is like I said, I'm reading the Odyssey. So if you enjoy an audiobook experience, feel free to hang out, keep me on in the background and whatnot. Otherwise, I hope you have a good day, or a rest of your night, or whatever the time zone is for you. And thanks for coming by. How long is each book? They're pretty long. I want to say each book is probably between like 40 minutes to an hour of reading. All right, night. Go get some. Put me to sleep with dulcet tones, Boner Lord. I'll do my best. But yeah, hopefully you feel better and get some good sleep. But first, I need to go hydrate. Well, I need to get more water. You know, for when y'all hydrate me some more. Oh, I thought they were novel length. No. They're not full on, like, if I say book 10, it's not like, you know, it's not like a full traditional novel. No. Like the entire Odyssey itself, yeah, that would be a traditional novel length. But each individual book, no, it's roughly 40 minutes to an hour. They differ a little bit. Because like in like 3 hours, I can get through like usually two to three, depending on how like distracted I get. Like long chapters, yeah, like really long chapters. Anyway, I need to get some more water, so BRB. All right, I am back. And I see people have already redeemed hydrate some more. Very well. And the more big street. Oh, let me BRB. Big street. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for looking out for your streamer. Oh, I said the word. Thankfully, Elm doesn't have that many points. I don't have to worry too much anymore. Thank you for the hydrate, Elm. That's some good shit. I can hoard again. I mean, this is true. Especially since I'm going to be, I'm back to streaming. So, yeah, you could do that if you want. He whispers, "You don't have a choice." I mean, valid, very valid. You're right, I don't. I just get to suffer for your amusement. Anyway, back to reading. Let's see, where did we do. Okay, there we are. When you shall have thus besought the ghost with your prayers, offer them a ram and a black ewe, bending their heads towards Erebus, but yourself turn away from them as though you would make towards the river. On this, many dead men's ghosts will come to you, and you must tell your men to skin the 2 sheep that you have just killed, and offer them as a burnt sacrifice with prayers to Hades and to Proserpine. Then draw your sword and sit there, so as to prevent any other poor ghost from coming near the spilt blood before Tiresias shall have answered your questions. The seer will presently come to you, and will tell you about your voyage, what stages you are to make, and how you are to sail the sea so as to reach your home. Hunter, why are you like this? Thank you for the hydrate. Let's see. It was daybreak by the time she had done speaking, so she dressed me in my shirt and cloak. As for herself, she threw a beautiful light gossamer fabric over her shoulders, fastening it with a golden girdle around her waist, and she covered her head with a mantle. Then I went about among the men everywhere all over the house, and spoke kindly to each of them, man by man. "You must not lie sleeping here any longer," said I to them. "We must be going, for Circe has told me all about it." And on this they did as I bade them. How dare you, Morp? But very well, thank you for the hydrate. Oh, you are absolutely right, DJ. It's in fact a lich nerd. How's everyone's favorite little witch cat doing? How you been, DJ? Very tired? Aw. Not able to sleep yet? Eight-hour stream, oh my. Yeah, that would do it. Yeah, hopefully you can get to sleep soon. It's birthday. Wow, happy birthday, DJ. Hell yeah. Happy Balloon Day. Hopefully your 8-hour stream was exciting. You do anything interesting? Have any birthday surprises? Birthday, you say? Yes, Elm. I said birthday. For those of you that don't already, let me just go ahead and do one of these. Do one of these little numbers right here. We'll just go check out DJ Ghost Pop. A lovely little witch cat who I believe everyone should go and check them out. Oh, and thank you for the gift sub, Al. And because it's their birthday, if you can do so responsibly, let's go get that nerd and offline hype train, shall we? 8 hours of Final Fantasy 14? Hell yeah. But yeah, go. Go give DJ Ghost Pop an offline hype train. Do it now. They can't fight us all. But in the meantime, while you're doing that, let's go ahead and finish up book 10. Let's see, where did I finish off at? Okay. Even so, however, I did not get them away without misadventure. We had with us a certain youth named Elpenor, not very remarkable for sense or courage, who had got drunk and was lying on the housetop, away from the rest of the men, to sleep off his liquor in the cool. When he heard the noise of the men bustling about, he jumped up on a sudden and forgot all about coming down by the main staircase. So he stumbled right off the roof and broke his neck, and his soul went down to the house of Hades. When I had got the men together, I said to them, "You think you are about to start home again, but Circe has explained to me that instead of this, we have got to go to the house of Hades in Proserpine to consult the ghost of Theban prophet Tiresias." The men were broken-hearted as they heard me, and threw themselves on the ground groaning, and tearing their hair, but they did not mend matters by crying. When we reached the seashore, weeping and lamenting our fate, Circe brought the ram and the ewe, and we made them fast hard by the ship. She passed through the midst of us without our knowing it, for who can see the comings and goings of a god, if the god does not wish to be seen? End Book 10. Oh man, my throat is... Ugh. Going 2 months without doing the shit, man, it is just... getting a little rough. Let me see how long Book 11 is. Light, don't you go off on me. Power, you better not flicker. I need my power. Okay, now Book 11 looks to be pretty long one. Extra big. Very well, extra big. Yeah. So gargle warm salt water, that should help. Deep gargle. What is going on with my light? Is the light going out or is the power trying to go out? I don't like the looks of that. Mostly because I still need to get a UPS for my router. Because... so that way, even if the power goes out, I'll still have internet and whatnot for at least a few hours. Ah, I see, Dalek. You know what? Why not? I'll go do that. Give me, like, you know what? Break time. I'm gonna go gargle some warm salt water. Y'all go ahead and run to the bathroom, get snacks or whatever, and we shall continue with book 11. Mix it well. Will do. Thank you. So, BRB. Hello, hello, everyone. How dare you? Thank you for the hydrate, more. And yes, I am back with a vengeance. Dun-na-na. No. All right. So let's go ahead and jump on into. How's your choking on the cup? Listen, listen. I might have been gargling from the chalice, but there was no choking to be had. I got rid of that reflex a long time ago. Let's see. But yeah, was it thick as Morp's bone flute? Listen, I don't think it can compare to Morp's bone flute. Alright. We all know. You think he'd choke on a cup? Ha! Indeed, indeed. But anywho, alright, one more stage. Big stage, yeah. Alright. Onwards to Book 11. The Visit to the Dead. Hold up, yawn. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Then, when we had got down to the seashore where we drew our ship into the water, and got her mast and sails into her, we also put the sheep on board and took our places, weeping and in great distress of mind. Circe, that great and cunning goddess, sent us a fair wind that blew dead aft and stayed steadily, with us keeping our sails all the time well filled. So we did whatever wanted doing to the ship's gear, and let her go as the wind and helmsman headed her. All day long her sails were full, as she held her course over the sea. But when the sun went down and darkness was all over the earth, we got into the deep waters of the river Oceanus, where lie the land and city of the Cimmerians, who live enshrouded in mist and darkness which the rays of the sun never pierce, neither at his rising nor as he goes down again out of the heavens. But the poor wretches live in one long melancholy night. When we got there, we beached the ship, took the sheep out of her, and went along by the waters of Oceanus till we came to the place of which Circe had told us. Here, Perimedes and Eurylochus held the victims, while I drew my sword and dug the trench a cubit away. I made a drink offering to all the dead, first with honey and milk, then with wine, and thirdly with water. And I sprinkled the white barley meal over the whole, praying earnestly to the poor feckless ghost, and promising them that when I got back to Ithaca, I would sacrifice a barren heifer for them, the best I had, and would load the pyre with good things. I also particularly promised that Tiresias should have a black sheep to himself, the best in all my flocks. When I had prayed sufficiently to the dead, I cut the throats of the 2 sheep and let the blood run into the trench, whereon the ghosts came trooping up from Erebus, brides, young bachelors, Old men worn out and with toil, maids who had been crossed in love, and brave men who had been killed in battle, with their armor still smirched with blood. They came from every quarter and flitted around the trench with a strange kind of screaming sound that made me turn pale with fear. When I saw them coming, I told the men to be quick and flay the carcasses of the 2 dead sheep and make burnt offerings of them, and at the same time to repeat prayers to Hades and to Proserpine. But I sat where I was with my sword drawn, and would not let the poor feckless ghost come near the blood till Tiresias should have answered my questions. The first ghost that came was that of my comrade Elpenor, for he had not yet been laid beneath the earth. We had left his body unwaked and unburied in Circe's house, for we had too much else to do. I was very sorry for him, and cried when I saw him. "Elpenor," said I, "how did you come down here into this gloom and darkness? You have got here on foot quicker than I have with my ship." "Sir," he answered with a groan, "it was all bad luck, and my own unspeakable drunkenness. I was lying asleep on the top of Circe's house, and never thought of coming down again by the great staircase, but fell right off the roof and broke my neck, so my soul came down to the house of Hades. And now I beseech you by all those whom you have left behind you, though they are not here, by your wife, by the father who brought you up when you were a child, and by Telemachus, who is the one hope of your house, do what I shall now ask of you. I know that when you leave this limbo, you will again hold your ship for the Aeaean's island. Do not go thence, leaving me unwaked and unburied behind you, or I may bring heaven's anger upon you. But burn me with whatever armor I have, build a barrow for me on the seashore, and that may tell people in days to come what a poor, unlucky fellow I was, and plant over my grave the oar I used to row with when I was yet alive and with my messmates." And I said, "My poor fellow, I will do all that you have asked of me." Thus then did we sit and hold sad talk with one another. I on the one side of the trench with my sword held over the blood, and the ghost of my comrade saying all this to me from the other side. Then came the ghost of my dead mother Anticlea, daughter to Autolycus. I had left her alive when I set out for Troy, and was moved to tears when I saw her. But even so, for all my sorrow, I would not let her come near the blood till I had asked my question of Tiresias. Then came also the ghost of Theban Tiresias, with his golden scepter in his hand. He knew me, and said, "Ulysses, noble son of Laertus, why, poor man, have you left the light of day and come down to visit the dead in this sad place? Stand back from the trench and withdraw your sword, that I may drink of the blood and answer your questions truly." So I drew back, sheathed my sword, whereon when he had drank of the blood, he began with this prophecy. "You want to know," said he, "about your return home, but heaven will make this hard for you. I do not think that you will escape the eye of Neptune, who still nurses his bitter grudge against you for having blinded his son. Still, after much suffering, you may get home if you can restrain yourself from your companions when your ship reaches the Thrinacian island, where you will find the sheep and cattle belonging to the sun, who sees and gives ear to everything. If you leave these flocks unharmed and think of nothing but of getting home, you may yet, after much hardship, reach Ithaca. But if you harm them, then I forewarn you of the destruction both of your ship and your men. Even though you may yourself escape, you will return in a bad plight, after losing all your men, in another man's ship, and you will find trouble in your house, which will be overrun by high-handed people who are devouring your substance under the pretext of paying court and making presents to your wife. When you get home, you will take revenge on these suitors, and after you have killed them by force or fraud in your own house, you must take a well-made oar and carry it on, till you come to a country where the people have never heard of the sea, and do not even mix salt with their food, nor do they know anything about ships, and oars that are as the wings of a ship. I will give you this certain token which cannot escape your notice. A wayfarer will meet you, and will say it must be a winnowing shovel that you have got upon your shoulder. On this you must fix the oar in the ground, and sacrifice a ram, a bull, and a boar to Neptune. Then go home and offer hecatombs to all the gods in heaven, one after the other. As for yourself, death shall come to you from the sea, and your life shall ebb away very gently when you are full of years and peace of mind. And your people shall bless you. All that I have said will come true. This, I answered, must be as it may please heaven, but tell me and tell me and tell me true. I see my poor mother's ghost close by us. She is sitting by the blood without saying a word, and though I am her own son, she does not remember me and speak to me. Tell me, sir, how I can make her know me. That, said he, I can soon do. Any ghost that you let taste of the blood will talk with you like a reasonable being. But if you do not let them have any blood, they will go away again. On this, the ghost of Tiresias went back to the house of Hades, for his prophesyings had now been spoken. But I sat still where I was until my mother came up and tasted the blood. Then she knew me at once and spoke fondly to me, saying, "My son, how did you come down to this abode of darkness while you are still alive? It is a hard thing for the living to see these places, for between us and them there are great and terrible waters, and there is Oceanus, which no man can cross on foot. But he must have a good ship to take him. Are you all this time trying to find your way home from Troy, and you never got back to Ithaca, nor seen your wife in your own house?" "Mother," said I was forced to come here to consult with the ghost of the Theban prophet Tiresias. I have never yet been near the Achaean land, nor set foot on my native country, and I have had nothing but one long series of misfortunes from the very first day that I set out to the Agamemnon for Illis, the land of noble steeds, to fight the Trojans. But tell me, and tell me true, in what way did you die? Did you have a long illness, or did heaven vouchsafe you its gentle, easy passage to eternity? Tell me also about my father and the son whom I left behind me. Is my property still in their hands, or has someone else got hold of it, who thinks that I shall not return to claim it? Tell me again what my wife intends doing, and in what mind she is. Does she live with my son and guard my estate securely, or has she made the best match she could and married again?" My mother answered, "Your wife still remains in your house, but she is in great distress of mind and spends her whole time in tears both day and night. No one, as yet, has got possession of your fine property, and Telemachus still holds your lands undisturbed. He has to entertain largely, as of course he must, considering his position as a magistrate, and how everyone invites him. Your father remains at his old place in the country and never goes near town. He has no comfortable bed nor bedding. In the winter he sleeps on the floor in front of the fire with the men and goes about all in rags. But in summer, when the warm weather comes on again, he lies out in the vineyard on a bed of vine leaves thrown anyhow upon the ground. He grieves continually about you never having come home, and suffers more and more as he grows older. As for my own end, it was in this wise. Heaven did not take me swiftly and painlessly in my own house, nor was I attacked by any illness such as those that generally wear people out and kill them. But my longing to know what you were doing and the force of my affection for you, that was the death of me. Then I tried to find some way of embracing my poor mother's ghost. Thrice I sprang towards her and tried to clasp her in my arms. But each time she flitted from my embrace as if it were a dream or phantom, and being touched to the quick, I said to her, "Mother, why do you not stay still when I would embrace you? If we could throw our arms around one another, we might find sad comfort in the sharing of our sorrows, even in the house of Hades. Does Proserpine want to lay a still further load of grief upon me by mocking me with the phantom only?" "My son," she answered, "most ill-fated of all mankind, it is not Proserpine that is beguiling you, but all people are like this when they are dead. The sinners no longer hold the flesh and bones together. These perish in the fierceness of consuming fire as soon as life has left the body, and the soul flits away as though it were a dream. Now, however, go back to the light of day as soon as you can, and note all these things that you may tell them to your wife hereafter." Thus did we converse, and anon Proserpine sent up the ghosts of the wives and daughters of all the most famous men. They gathered in crowds about the blood, and I considered how I might question them severally. In the end, I deemed that it would be best to draw the keen blade that hung by my sturdy thigh, and keep them from all drinking the blood at once. So they came up one after the other, and each one, as I questioned her, told me her race and lineage. The first I saw was Tyro. She was daughter of Salmoneus, and wife of Cretheus, and the son of Aeolus. She fell in love with the river Enipeus, who is much the most beautiful river in the whole world. Once, when she was taking a walk by his side as usual, Neptune, disguised as her lover, lay with her at the mouth of the river, and a huge blue wave arched itself like a mountain over them to hide both woman and god. Whereon he loosed her virgin girdle and laid her in a deep slumber. When the god had accomplished the deed of love, he took her hand in his own and said, "Tyro, rejoice in all goodwill. The embraces of the gods are not fruitless, and you will have fine twins about this time 12 months. Take great care of them. I am Neptune, so now go home, but hold your tongue and do not tell anyone." Take a little drinky. Then he dived under the sea, and she in due course bore Peleus and Neleus, who both of them served Jove with all their might. Peleus was a great breeder of sheep and lived in Iolcus, but the other lived in Pylos. The rest of her children were by Cretheus, namely Aeson, Pheres, and Amethaon, who was a mighty warrior and charioteer. Next to her I saw Antiope, daughter to Asopus, who could boast of having slept in the arms of even Jove himself, and who bore him 2 sons, Amphion and Zethus. These founded Thebes with its 7 gates, and built a wall all around it, for strong though they were, they could not hold Thebes till they had walled it. Then I saw Alcmena, the wife of Amphitryon, who also bore to Jove indomitable Hercules, and Megara, who was daughter to great King Creon, and married the redoubtable son of Amphitryon. I also saw fair Epicast, mother of King Oedipus. Oedipus. I'm terrible with names. Whose awful lot it was to marry her own son without suspecting it. He married her after having killed his father, but the gods proclaimed the whole story to the world, whereon he remained king of Thebes, in great grief for the spite that the gods had borne him. But Epicast went to the house of the mighty jailer Hades, having hanged himself for grief, and the avenging spirits haunted him, as for an outraged mother, to his ruing bitterly thereafter. Then I saw Chloris, whom Neleus married for her beauty, having given priceless presents for her. She was the youngest daughter of Amphion, son of Iasus, and king of Minion Orchomenus, and was queen in Pylos. She bore Nestor, Chromius, and Periclymenus, and she also bore that marvelously lovely woman, Pero, who was wooed by all the country round. But Neleus would only give her to him who should raid the cattle of Iphiclus from the grazing grounds of Phyllis, and this was a hard task. The only man who would undertake to raid them was a certain excellent seer, but the will of heaven was against him, for the rangers of the cattle caught him and put him in prison. Nevertheless, when a full year had passed and the same season came round again, Iphiclus set him at liberty, after he had expounded all the oracles of heaven. Thus then was the will of Jove accomplished. And I saw Leda, the wife of Tyndarus, who bore him two famous sons, Castor, breaker of horses, and Pollux, the mighty boxer. Both these heroes are lying under the earth, though they are still alive, for by a special dispensation of Jove, they die and come to life again, each one of them every other day throughout all time, and they have the rank of gods. After her, I saw Iphimedea, wife of Alois, who boasted the embrace of Neptune. She bore two sons, Otis and Ephialtes, but both were short-lived. They were the finest children that were ever born in this world, and the best-looking, Orion only excepted. For at 9 years old they were 9 fathoms high, and measured 9 cubits round the chest. They threatened to make war with the gods in Olympus, and tried to set Mount Ossa on the top of Mount Olympus, and Mount Pelion on the top of Ossa, that they might scale heaven itself. And they would have done it too if they had been grown up. But Apollo, son of Leto, killed both of them before they had got so much as a sign of hair upon their cheeks or chin. Then I saw Phaedra and Procris, and fair Ariadne, daughter of the magician Minos, whom Theseus was carrying off from Crete to Athens. But he did not enjoy her, for before he could do so, Diana killed her on the island of Dia, on account of what Bacchus had said against her. I also saw Myrrha and Clymene, and hateful Eryphile, who sold her own husband for gold. But it would take me all night if I were to name every single one of the wives and daughters of heroes whom I saw, and it is time for me to go to bed, either on board ship with my crew or here. As for my escort, heaven and yourselves will see to it. Here he ended, and the guests sat, all of them, enthralled and speechless throughout the covered cloister. Then Arete said to them, "What do you think of this man, O Phaeacians? Is he not tall and good-looking, and is he not clever? True, he is my own guest, but all of you share in the distinction. Do not be in a hurry to send him away, nor That word. In the presents you make to one who is in such great need, for heaven has blessed all of you with great abundance. Then spoke the aged hero, Echinius, who was one of the oldest men among them. My friends, said he, what our august queen has just said to us is both reasonable and to the purpose, therefore be persuaded by it. But the decision whether in word or deed rests ultimately with King Alcinous. The thing shall be done, exclaimed Alcinous, as surely as I still live and reign over the Phaeacians. Our guest is indeed very anxious to get home. Still, we must persuade him to remain with us until tomorrow, by which time I shall be able to get together the whole sum that I mean to give him. As regards his escort, it will be a matter for you all, and mine above all others as the chief person among you. And Ulysses answered, King Alcinous, if you were to bid me to stay here for a whole 12 months, and then speed me on my way, loaded with your noble gifts, I should obey you gladly, and it would redound greatly to my advantage. For I should return fuller-handed to my own people, and should thus be more respected and beloved by all who see me when I get back to Ithaca. Ulysses, replied Alcinous, not one of us who sees you has any idea that you are a charlatan or a swindler. I know there are many people going about who tell such plausible stories that it is very hard to see through them. But there is a style about your language which assures me of your good disposition. Moreover, you have told the story of your own misfortunes and those of the Argives, as though you were a practiced bard. But tell me, and tell me true, whether you saw any of the mighty heroes who went to Troy at the same time with yourself, and perished there. The evenings are still at their longest, and it is not yet bedtime. Go on, therefore, with your divine story, for I could stay here listening till tomorrow morning, so long as you will continue to tell us of your adventures. Thank you for the stretch. There we go. Thank you. Alcinous, answered Ulysses, there is a time for making speeches and a time for going to bed. Nevertheless, since you so desire, I will not refrain from telling you the still sadder tale of those of my comrades, who did not fall fighting with the Trojans, but perished on their return through the treachery of a wicked woman. When Proserpina dismissed the female ghosts in all directions, the ghost of Agamemnon, son of Atreus, came sadly up to me, surrounded by those who had perished with him in the house of Aegisthus. As soon as he had tasted the blood, he knew me, and weeping bitterly stretched out his arms towards me to embrace me. But he had no strength nor substance any more, and I too wept and pitied him as I beheld him. How did you come by your death, said I, King Agamemnon? Did Neptune raise his hands in waves against you when you were at sea, or did your enemies make an end of you on the mainland when you were cattle lifting or sheep stealing, or while they were fighting in defiance of their wives in the city? Ulysses, he answered, noble son of Laertus, I was not lost at sea in any storm of Neptune's raising, nor did my foes dispatch me upon the mainland, but Aegisthus and my wicked wife were the death of me between them. He asked me to his house, feasted me, and then butchered me most miserably, as though I were a fat beast in a slaughterhouse, while all around me my comrades were slain like sheep or pigs for the wedding breakfast, or picnic, or gorgeous banquet of some great nobleman. You must have seen numbers of men killed either in a general engagement or in single combat, but you never saw anything so truly pitiable as the way in which we fell in that cloister, with the mixing bowl and the loaded tables lying all about, and the ground reeking with our blood. I heard Priam's daughter, Cassandra, scream as Clytemnestra killed her close beside me. I lay dying upon the earth with the sword in my body, and raised my hands to kill the slut of a murderess. But she slipped away from me. She would not even close my lips nor my eyes when I was dying. For there is nothing in this world so cruel and so shameless as a woman when she has fallen into such guilt as hers was. Fancy murdering her own husband. I thought I was going to be welcomed home by my children and my servants, but her abominable crime has brought disgrace on herself and all women who shall come after, even on the good ones. And I said, in truth, Jove has hated the house of Atreus from first to last in the matter of their women's counsels. See how many of us fell for Helen's sake, and now it seems that Clytemnestra hatched mischief against you too during your absence. Be sure therefore, continued Agamemnon, and not be too friendly even with your own wife. Garbage Can, hello, thank you for the follow. You are now a guest of the study. Please enjoy the vibes. And thank you for the big stretch. Yes. There we go. Thank you. Let's see, where were we? Okay. Do not tell her all that you know perfectly well yourself. Tell her a part only, and keep your own counsel about the rest. Not that your wife Ulysses is likely to murder you, for Penelope is a very admirable woman, and has an excellent nature. We left her a young bride with an infant at her breast when we set out for Troy. This child, no doubt, is now grown up happily to man's estate, and he and his father will have a joyful meeting and embrace one another, as it is right they should do, whereas my wicked wife did not even allow me the kind happiness of looking upon my son, but killed me ere I could do so. Furthermore, I say, and lay my saying to your heart, do not tell people when you are bringing your ship to Ithaca, but steal a march upon them, for after all this there is no trusting women. But now tell me, and tell me true, can you give me any news of my son Orestes? Is he in Archomenus, or at Pylos, or is he at Sparta with Menelaus? For I presume that he is still living. Kitty1243, thank you for the follow. You are now a guest of the study. Please enjoy the vibes. Hello there. And I said, Agamemnon, why do you ask me? I do not know whether your son is alive or dead, and it is not right to talk when one does not know. As we two sat weeping and talking thus sadly with one another, the ghost of Achilles came up to us with Patroclus, Antilochus, and Ajax, who was the finest and goodliest man of all the Danaans after the son of Peleus. Morp, how dare you betray me? Thank you for the hydrate. Get that H2O. Let's see, where was it? Great storytelling, gotta say. Why, thank you. Although it's been 2 months, I took a 2-month break and I'm only starting to get back into it. Yeah, I know this is like my 4th time doing storytelling, so you thinking that it's great, that's... Thank you. Let's see. Okay. The fleet descendant of Aeacus knew me and spoke piteously, saying, Ulysses, noble son of Laertus, What deed of daring will you undertake next, that you venture down into the house of Hades among a silly dead, who are but the ghosts of them that can labor no more? Hold up, a yawn's coming on. Oh, man. Love the background in your avatar. Is that what it's called, avatar? Doesn't matter, love it. Yeah, avatar, model, however you want to call it. And yeah, thank you, thank you. Yes, this is my study. But yeah. Anyway, let's see. Ah, there we are. And I said, Achilles, son of Peleus, foremost champion of the Achaeans, I came to consult Tiresias and see if he could advise me about my return home to Ithaca, for I have never yet been able to get near the Achaean land, nor to set foot in my own country. But have you been in trouble all the time? As for you, Achilles, no one was ever yet so fortunate as you have been, nor ever will be, for you were adored by all us Argives as long as you were alive. And now that you are here, you are a great prince among the dead. Do not, therefore, take it so much to heart, even if you are dead. Hello, Seiji. Welcome in. Let's see. Say not a word, he answered, in death's favor. I would rather be a paid servant in a poor man's house, and be above ground than king of kings among the dead. But give me news about my son. Is he gone to the wars, and will he be a great soldier? Or is this not so? Tell me also if you have heard anything about my father Peleus. Does he still rule among the Myrmidons, or do they show him no respect through Hellas and Phthia, now that he is old and his limbs fail him? Could I but stand by his side in the light of day, with the same strength that I had when I killed the bravest of our foes upon the plain of Troy. Could I but be as I then was, and go even for a short time to my father's house, anyone who tried to do him violence or supersede him would soon rue it. I have heard nothing, I answered, of Peleus, but I can tell you about your son Neoptolemus, for I took him in my own ship from Skyros with the Achaeans. In our councils of war before Troy, he was always first to speak, and his judgment was unerring. Nestor and I were the only two who could surpass him, and when it came to fighting on the plain of Troy, he would never remain with the body of his men, but would dash on far in front, foremost of them all in valor. Many a man did he kill in battle. I cannot name every single one of those whom he slew while fighting on the side of the Argives, but will only say how he killed that valiant hero Eurypylus, son of Telephus, who was the handsomest man I ever saw except Memnon. Many others also of the Cytaeans fell around him by reason of a woman's bribes. Moreover, when all of the bravest of the Argives went inside the horse that Epeius had made, and it was left to me to settle when we should either open the door of our ambuscade or close it. Through all the other leaders and chief among the Danaans were drying their eyes and quaking in every limb. I never once saw him turn pale nor wipe a tear from his cheek. He was all the time urging me to break out from the horse, grasping the handle of his sword and his bronze-shod spear and breathing fury against the foe. When we had sacked the city of Priam, he got his handsome share of the prize money and went on board. Such is the fortune of war. Without a wound upon him, neither from a thrown spear nor in close combat, for the rage of Mars is a matter of great chance. When I had told him this, the ghost of Achilles strode off across a meadow full of asphodel, exulting over what I had said concerning the prowess of his son. The ghosts of other dead men stood near me, and told me each his own melancholy tale, but that of Ajax son of Telamon alone held aloof, still angry with me for having won the cause in our dispute about the armor of Achilles. Thetis had offered it as a prize, but the Trojan prisoners and Minerva were the judges. Would that I had never gained the day in such a contest, for it cost the life of Ajax, who was foremost of all the Danaans after the son of Peleus, alike in stature and prowess. When I saw him, I tried to pacify him and said, "Ajax, will you not forget and forgive even in death, but must the judgment about that hateful armor still rankle with you? It cost us Argives dear enough to lose such a tower of strength as you were to us. We mourned you as much as we mourned Achilles son of Peleus himself, nor can the blame be laid on anything but on the spite which Jove bore against the Danaans, for it was this that made him counsel your destruction. Come hither, therefore, bring your proud spirit into subjection, and hear what I can tell you." He would not answer, but turned away to Erebus and to the other ghosts. Nevertheless, I should have made him talk to me in spite of his being so angry, or I should have gone on talking to him, only that there were still others among the dead whom I desired to see. Then I saw Minos, son of Jove, with his golden scepter in his hand, sitting in judgment on the dead, and the ghosts were gathered, sitting and standing around him, in the spacious house of Hades, to learn his sentences upon them. After him I saw huge Orion in a meadow full of asphodel, driving the ghost of the wild beast that he had killed upon the mountains, and he had a great bronze club in his hand, unbreakable forever and ever. And I saw Tityus, son of Gaia, stretched upon the plain, and covering some 9 acres of ground. 2 vultures on either side of him were digging their beaks into his liver, and he kept on trying to beat them off with his hands, but could not, for he had violated Jove's mistress Leto, as she was going through Panopeus, on her way to Pytho. I saw also the dreadful fate of Tantalus, who stood in a lake that reached his chin. He was dying to quench his thirst, but could never reach the water. For when the poor creature stooped to drink, it dried up and vanished, so that there was nothing but dry ground, parched by the spite of heaven. There were tall trees, moreover, that shed their fruit over his head, pears, pomegranates, apples, sweet figs, and juicy olives. But whenever the poor creature stretched out his hand to take some, the wind tossed the branches back against the clouds. And I saw Sisyphus at his endless task, raising his prodigious stone with both his hands. With hands and feet he tried to roll it up onto the top of the hill, but always, just before he could roll it over onto the other side, its weight would be too much for him, and the pitiless stone would come thundering down again on the plain. Then he would begin trying to push it up the hill again, and the sweat ran off him and the steam rose after him. After him I saw mighty Hercules, but it was his phantom only, for he is feasting ever with the immortal gods, and has lovely Hebe to wife, who is daughter of Jove and Juno. The ghosts were screaming around him, like scared birds flying all whithers. He looked black as night, with his bare bow in his hands and his arrow on the string, glaring around as though ever on the point of taking aim. About his breast there was a wondrous golden belt adorned in the most marvelous fashion with bears, wild boars, and lions with gleaming eyes, There was also war, battle, and death. Thank you for hanging out, Elm. Hopefully you get some good sleep. See, Okay. The man who made that belt, do what he might, would never be able to make another like it. Hercules knew me at once when he saw me, and spoke piteously, saying, "My poor Ulysses, noble son of Laertus, are you too leading the same sorry kind of life that I did when I was above ground? I was son of Jove, but I went through an infinity of suffering, for I became bondsman to one who was far beneath me, a low fellow who set me all manners of labor. He once sent me here to fetch the hellhound, for he did not think he could find anything harder for me than this. But I got the hound out of Hades and brought him to him, for Mercury and Minerva helped me." On this, Hercules went down again into the house of Hades, but I stayed where I was in case some other of the mighty dead should come to me. And I should have seen still other of them that are gone before, whom I would have fain have seen, Theseus and Perithous, glorious children of the gods, but so many thousands of ghosts came round me and uttered such appalling cries that I was panic-stricken, lest Proserpine should send up from the house of Hades the head of that awful monster Gorgon. On this, I hastened back to my ship and ordered my men to go on board at once and loose the hawsers. So they embarked and took their places, whereon the ship went down the stream of the river Oceanus. We had to row at first, but presently a fair wind sprang up. End Book 11. Okay. Oh, thank you, more. Thank you, more. I think, let's see, how long is book 12? Book 12 is looking like, yeah, about as long as 11 and 10. Okay. I think with this being my first return stream, like actual normal scheduled stream, and me not having read for like just over 2 months, I think I'm gonna call it there for now. Need to get back into reading for extended periods of time. Also, thank you for the storage. Yeah. Let us see what we have. Beada beada beady bo bo. Yeah. Yeah, I'll yeah, once I get back to back into the swing of things, we'll go back to reading like 3 books at a time. Aw, thank you, Seiji. I'm glad you all like my reading voice. Or I think it's just me reading in general. But let's see. Let us see. Are they muted? Is it muted? Cool. No. Let's go. Is there anyone? Nah, you know what? First stream back, let's just I'm just gonna give my goodbyes and everything, and then just call it. No raid today. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, no. So I have it on my Twitch page, but my so my schedule is Monday and Tuesday at beginning at 8 p.m. PST or 11 Eastern. Oh no, not 8, 7, sorry. 7 p.m. PST, which would make that 10 Eastern. So Monday is this right here, reading the Odyssey. And then Tuesday is Atelier Tuesday, which, if you don't know, Atelier is like a niche game series that I really like, a JRPG that I love the game series, like gathering, crafting, traits, like min-maxing, just there's so much to it that I really like when it comes to optimizing stuff. And then Saturday is the Chaos Crew, where let me shout out my friendos in the Chaos Crew, which is myself, Rigor Morp, Skullnewt, and KCVT. They are a lovely group of good beans that it is much more livelier. Like, my other streams tend to be more lively. And especially Saturdays when, yeah, see, there's one of them right now. Right there, Morp. Yeah, those streams tend to be a lot more animated. A group that makes me suffer when they're together. But it's suffering in a good way. But yeah, if you're into that, definitely check out Saturdays. Yet you keep coming back. Exactly, Seiji. You always come back. More shut up. But yeah. Now, thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out and vibing and just listening to me read. And I will see you all tomorrow. Well, I hope to see you all tomorrow. Can't even spell your name right. Illis got me all sleepy. Valid. But yeah. I hope you have a good one. And yeah, I hope to see y'all tomorrow with some Atelier. 7 p.m. PST. Have a good one, y'all.